Ever wonder which common hike mistakes can quickly turn your adventure into a nightmare? Well, after 34 years of guiding hikers and helping with the odd rescue, I've seen exactly which errors lead to blisters, exhaustion, wasted money, or even worse, getting stranded. So, in this video, I'm going to show you brutally honest advice to easily avoid these common pitfalls and make sure your next hike is safe, comfortable, and memorable for all the right reasons. I used to guide hikers along Tasmania's world-renowned overland track, a bucket list destination for many outdoor enthusiasts. While most hikers came prepared, I'd regularly encounter people who had never done an overnight hike before. Their first ever multi-day adventure, well, they'd chosen a grueling 65 to 70 kilometre trek through unpredictable conditions. And by day 2, exhaustion had hit hard. They had blistered feet, their backs ached, and smiles quickly faded. They weren't enjoying the hike, they were just surviving it. It's like signing up for a marathon when you've never run more than a mile. Sure, you might get through it, but probably won't enjoy the journey. The fix is to start smaller. Do a couple of shorter overnight walks first. Discover how your body responds to carrying a pack for days. That way, when you tackle the big adventure, you'll actually enjoy the challenge rather than just enduring it. One of the biggest disappointments I've seen on hikes happens when people get obsessed with a single goal, like summiting a peak, and they lose sight of everything else. I once guided a hiker who became furious when we couldn't do a side trip up a mountain because the weather had turned dangerous. As a guide, I had the entire group's safety to consider, and conditions simply weren't safe for this type of group. But for the rest of the trip, this one person made sure I knew just how disappointed they were. Eventually, they even left their friends behind to attempt the climb alone the next day, which created even more risks for everyone involved. Look, I understand the appeal of ticking something big off your bucket list, but hiking isn't just about conquering mountains. A very wise person once said to me, "The mountains won't remember you. The best moments you'll experience outdoors aren't always the big dramatic accomplishments." I remember a lot of the small details when I'm on a hike. Things like how the sunlight filters through the trees in a forest when I'm walking through it. How a pair of eagles is soaring just effortlessly on thermals rising up into the sky. The serene feeling of remoteness. These subtle, beautiful moments are what you'll carry with you long after the hike is over. Nothing ruins a hike faster than blisters. I've seen hikers limping painfully just a few hours into a multi-day trek, all because they didn't break in their boots properly. Let me share an embarrassing story. A friend of mine, okay fine, it was actually me. Well, I showed up for a 5-day hike wearing brand new leather boots. But you know, I was a hiking guide. I knew what I was doing. I knew what I was up to. But by the end of day 1, my feet were destroyed. Not even by the end of day 1. It was like by the end of the first break, they were wrecked. My heels were so blistered that we had to tape padding around them just to keep me moving. Not exactly my proudest moment. The solution? Well, break in your boots or your footwear. Wear them regularly for at least 2 weeks before you hike. Even better, test them out on shorter hikes with a full pack beforehand. And trust me, your feet will thank you. But remember, even the best boots won't save you if you don't know where you're going. Now, I'll admit it, around 26 years ago, I once got completely lost just a few hours into a difficult hike. Overconfidence led to careless decisions, and before we knew it, we were way off track and burning precious daylight. Thankfully, we managed to find our way back, but that situation could have turned serious fast. And believe me, I have seen other hikers end up in far worse scenarios. The fix, well, always triple check your route before setting out. Carry a reliable GPS backup and never assume you'll just figure it out when you're out on the track. Trust me, panic kicks in faster than you'd imagine. And speaking of preparation, this next mistake could leave you cold, hungry, and very seriously frustrated. Now, there's nothing worse than setting up camp after a long day, pulling out your stove and realizing it barely works. Or worse, discovering you're nearly out of fuel or gas halfway through the trip. I've watched hikers learn this painful lesson firsthand. They end up rationing hot meals, and by the final night, they're stuck miserably chewing cold, half-cooked, cold-soaked dinners. And trust me, that does not look like any fun at all. The solution: always test your stove before every trip. Double check your fuel levels and know how much fuel your stove typically uses. A quick pre-trip check can save you from a cold, hungry night in the wilderness. And if you think running out of fuel sounds bad, imagine getting stranded at the very end of your hike. Now, I've already told you about a few embarrassing mistakes here today that I've made. Well, what is one of the dumbest mistakes I've ever made? Well, not properly confirming my pickup details. We finished our hike early and arrived at the pickup point just in time to see our ride pulling away. Luckily, we managed to chase the vehicle down, waving our arms like crazy people, to get his attention. But if we'd arrived even a minute later, and I'm dead set serious, a minute later, we would have been stranded with no phone reception, no ride, just an empty road in the middle of nowhere and about 30 kilometers to walk. We got lucky. But after a 13-day trek in the wilderness, things could have ended much, much worse for us. The fix? Well, always clearly confirm your pickup details before you start a walk. Double check the day before pickup, and if possible, have a backup plan like carrying a satellite communicator or setting a pre-arranged check-in time that you both understand clearly. And if you've got a satellite communicator or phone reception, confirm the day before the time and the place where you're being picked up. And trust me, standing exhausted on an empty road is no way to end an epic hike. And if that's no way to end an epic hike, well, this is no way to start it. Now, I see a lot of hikers who pack like they're moving house. I used to do it too. I often still do, and I have learned my lesson the hard way. My friends and I love surprising each other with little treats when we're out on a walk. Sometimes my buddy, who we'll just call JC for this video, loves to pull out icy cold cans of Coca-Cola for everyone on like day 5 of a 9-day hike. It is absolutely, truly incredible. But sometimes we all get carried away, and before we know it, we're all hauling kilograms of unnecessary food and gear to surprise each other. It gets a little out of control. Here's the takeaway. Think carefully about what you're packing. By all means, bring a surprise treat for those moments that will become treasured memories later on, but keep it reasonable. Pack only what you're really going to use, and JC, well, don't stop bringing those Cokes, my friend. These little mistakes are all fixable. But if you don't solve this next one, you're almost guaranteed to be freezing on the trail. Watch this video next up here to learn the one mistake that's making you cold on every hike.